Hey, all you good people. Welcome to another episode of Any Way You Slice It. I'm Jason. This is Peter Tijan. And we're here for our 6th AC/DC episode and our final one, correct?
Well, the thing is, we started on Power Rage.
Rage.
Power Ridge.
Yeah.
So we started on that, so there's plenty to really go back to anytime.
Yeah, but we're going to take a break from AC/DC after this. Yeah. Just because we have other things we want to do.
Yeah.
You know? And it's not like the people are demanding we do.
We want to talk about the first 3 Rat albums.
Yeah.
We want releases. We want to talk about the first 2 or 3 Wasp releases. Mm-hmm. There's tons of Thin Lizzy albums
There's
we could
Kiss
talk about.
albums we still haven't done. Thin Lizzy,
Yeah.
Rush. You're right, Heap. There's just so much.
There's a few Heart albums.
There's a lot.
And not just that, but there's a lot of stuff you want to do, like all the Death albums and the Creator albums.
I've been bugging him.
Corner, all the Corner albums. You know, I know what you want to do.
And you want to do the Beach Boys, so
yeah, that's true. It's a trade-off.
Yeah,
I'll review Beach Boys. You review all the Creator
albums. When you
albums.
see us do a Death album and the Beach Boys the next week, you know why that happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so A Fly on the Wall is the subject today. AC/DC's 1985 follow-up to one of our favorite albums, Flick of the Switch. What do we think of Fly on the Wall? I'll tell you right now.
Wait to find out.
Well, no,
after these
I'm basically going to tell them right now. If you think we've been doing these reviews with rose-tinted glasses, guess what? I'm taking them off because I got some things to say about this. It's not all good.
See, I love the album. I think it's the last. I'm going to say I think it's the last good album. I think it's the last album that feels like, and that had any kind of that rock attitude, that original AC/DC feeling left over. I think it's the last one.
Okay, because I have to say something positive about it.
You like The Fly on the cover?
There's 3 songs on this album I absolutely love.
Yeah,
absolutely love, and those songs they haven't even came close to topping since this. So to me, yes, it's their last album with really, really good songs.
It's their last hurrah.
Yeah. Now, that's just my opinion. Other people out there are like, no, man, rock or bust. Well, to be honest, I never really got into anything past this album, really, the next one. We're going to talk about this as well.
I mean, you can hear in this era that Brian's voice, what we loved from Brian's voice from the first few albums he did with them, you can tell that power is starting to leave him. A little bit of control is leaving, and his tone is shifting, and his power is leaving him a little bit. It's becoming a little whinier. You just hear it, little bits here and there. And I think these albums, he sounds great on these albums, and Who Made Who, he sounds good. Mm-hmm. But after that, I definitely hear a definite difference in his voice. And he'd already been singing for years, and I think that all those rockers that scream their ass off, it's going to happen,
It takes its toll.
Yeah.
Really does. But he was still a snappy dresser.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I always think of Sinatra, too, because it's like that with all these singers. You listen to Paul Stanley in the early 70s, it's like, oh, my God, total powerhouse.
Oh, God.
They're all so in control at first, and it's hard. It's hard for anybody to keep it up, I guess.
Oh, it's hard to name one singer in their 60s or 70s that's still doing it the way they used to. There's a few, and I'm not going to sit here and try to rack my brain to think, but
AC/DC kind of got Brian late in the game, so half of Brian's best years in his prime were kind of already gone, So we got, I think, I look at it like we got a handful of really good years out of when his voice was still in its prime, and it matched up in a time where AC/DC's albums were still amazing.
Yeah. So everything, it was at a peak. It all came together.
Yeah.
And kind of starts to go downhill right here. It does.
It starts a bit. Does. Yeah, it's not every song is fresh as you'd like it to be, maybe, but I'm a fan of I think it actually does sound really good. I think there is a lot of verb at times. I love verb.
A lot of gang vocals. They're really big on that. Yeah.
I mean, and this happened after Flick. So Flick wasn't, they're like, let's go do this hard rock and raw album. which most of us all these days really love. Well, looking back, we all go, Flick rocks. And then this album, you know, the production is, they're going for a big production this time because they probably think that's what was lacking on Flick. And it's almost like it's a little overdone sometimes, you know, a little too much verb on the drums. And I think they kind of probably realized it a bit because, you know, Shake Your Foundation is remixed for Who Made Who. Like
and,
it
and
doesn't
Pink to Pink.
but it doesn't have, Shake Your Foundations doesn't have that big huge reverb on those toms on the intro of Shake Your Foundations. The toms and all that reverb is gone on the Who Made Who version. You know, so I don't know. I feel like they dried up Brian's vocals for the remix and put them up front more. I think they realized that maybe there was a bit of an error in their ways when how they went about this album.
Yeah, it's produced by Angus and Malcolm. So I think after this they'd revert back to Vanda and Young, right?
And this was recorded basically where I think it was like that. You know, when a festival happens, you got your main stage and you got some other. Not that I ever saw Montreux Festival, but I'm pretty sure that's how it is. Like a lot of festivals are. I think it was the main stage, and it was like octagon kind of shape. I think that's why there's a lot of Montreux Jazz Festival recordings, because it was also kind of like used as a studio in Switzerland. So they went there and it's octagon shaped, and they went there because it sounded cool. And they had, what's his name, Mark Durnley, who worked on Highway to Hell and worked on For Those About to Rock also, go there. And I read a thing where he went there and checked it out and he thought it sounded amazing. So he said, yeah, come over. So that's where they did the album.
Really?
So I think they had this amazing sounding structure they recorded in, kind of like a big room, and they wanted to, you know, they're proud of it. They recorded, they want to use it. So I don't think it's all synthetic verbs on here, but they're pushing the room sounds quite a bit on here.
Yeah, definitely. And just really quick, look at this cover. Is that hideous or
See,
what?
you don't like it, but I don't mind it.
It's just hideous.
I think it's kind of a nice light turn for them. I mean,
There's the little fly character. He'll make appearances in the videos.
yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like this. It's kind of like we don't do many albums where we're kind of like there's a wall between us.
Where we're
split in two. Our opinions differ.
Well, I don't think it's half as good as Flick, but I hold on to it because for me it's the last one. You know, Who Made Who is also awesome because the remixes on here are better. You know, from the songs on here, and Who Made Who is a really fun song I've always loved.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I don't really listen to the rest of it that much because I hear it on the other albums. Somebody said Ride On might have been remixed. You ever heard about Ride On being remixed for this?
I have not.
So the next album is what? What's it called?
This? Blow Up Your Video?
Blow Up Your Video.
Yeah.
We're not going to really review it because I don't think we quite love it enough. But I got to say that there is a lot of good. I listened to it this week. There's a lot of good riffs. There's strong songs, and it's not horrible. It's probably pretty well done, but even though it just doesn't really do it for me personally.
Heat Seeker's good.
The vibe of it. No, it's good, but just the whole vibe of it. It's kind of like this album. I feel like it's a reaction to Flick. Like, okay, we're going to go major key on everything. It's going to be radio friendly. We're going to have this video EP to put out, which I have on VHS.
You have it.
Oh, I have it somewhere. It might be up there.
Yeah.
And then it's on Family Jewels also. Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Family
yeah,
Jewels?
yeah. Uh-huh.
I thought I was talking about Gene Simmons for a second there. But, you know, they're trying to, like, Flick sales were down. I think they're just going gangbusters. Like, well, what can we do to make sure this one's going to do good, you know?
MTV was huge at the time, you know, silly videos, you know. If you think about Rats Round and Round video, you know, you got the band performing. But then there's the silly aspect, too, with Milton Berle and all that. And they're kind of doing that here. Mm-hmm. They're performing, what, in a little nightclub, a little honky-tonk?
Honky-tonk. It's a honky-tonk
it
for
is.
sure.
And you got the little animated fly going around. And if you just listen to the audio, like I was listening to it in my car when I was driving from YouTube, but it was playing the video. what are all the fart noises? I was like, why are there fart noises?
Is it the
It's
fly?
probably the fly, but it was
fly-
really distracting.
Well, the fly's farting.
Okay.
Farting. The fly is flying around.
And he's farting.
He's probably farting also.
Okay.
I am
I,
right now.
before this started, you guys have no idea.
So
The videos are stupid. You can at least admit that.
yeah, but no, I think they're fun, but I think I don't think they're cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but it's
they're-
I cling to this era too, and I not really just because I'm nostalgic, because I had this one and my friend down the street, or no, I had Flick and my friend down the street had this, and I was like, ooh, I want that one. And I remember going through the songs on this because he had it on vinyl and my Flick was on cassette, and I remember thinking Sink to Pink and Shake Your Foundations. I remember right away I liked those two songs, and I remember thinking if I owned this album, I'd be able to listen to the rest of the songs and probably get into it more. And I didn't really own it for years after that. It took me a handful of years to get it. I think I eventually got it on cassette.
Yeah, I had the vinyl.
And I kind of liked it, but I liked all the albums before that better, and I still do. But when I listen to the dramatic difference of this and Blow Up Your Video, to me it's a huge difference in just vibe and integrity, and I don't know. This is the last one for me.
Yeah. You checked out after this, huh?
I kind of did, yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was in our last episode. It was fun when they got that one big song on every album, Is this the first album where they really started to get some of those hammer-on riffs going?
On Sink to Pink, yeah.
Kind of like during the breakdown of Shoot to Thrill, like the thing he does on guitar, like. And they have these eras in AC/DC where like he got going on this, and then he got going on a little tap melody thing, far from a Van Halen tap type thing, but it's a melodic tap line, and so that kind of ushered in this era. I feel like it kind of started on this album a bit.
I heard somebody say that after AC/DC toured with Van Halen in 1984, some festival shows in England, Angus after that almost had more of a Guitar Hero vibe to his playing, and even on stage, like they would just the way he'd present himself on stage, and but I don't know, could be a coincidence, who knows, because Van Halen was just a pop band, right?
That's what Angus said in that one
Angus
interview.
said that. Okay.
Well, wasn't Van Halen headlining on that?
Yes.
What was that, Monsters of Rock or
Yep.
something?
Yeah. Big headliners. Yep.
That reminds me because throughout all these albums in this era, AC/DC is still headlining for the most part all these big outdoor shows, and like look at this. Where is it? Is it this one? No, it's this one here. So this is like what month is this? This is Circus from February '85. So what month did Fly come out?
July.
It's summer, yeah.
Yeah.
So like, February, well, they're like, this is how Circus had these silly song lyrics in the back.
What song is it?
It's Jailbreak.
Okay. Oh, of course.
So it's like, there they are. You know what I mean? Like,
Jailbreak had just come out.
they just had something coming out constantly for a handful of years. So, they did these albums the way they wanted to do them. They recorded live in a big room. They did that with Flick, and they did that with this. And got these big roomy sounds, and they tried to produce themselves, and it didn't really matter that they weren't huge albums. Of course, I'm sure that didn't make things smooth with the record label, but they made it for it. Like, they got into the video era with that EP, and Jailbreak came out, so there was just
And then
always something
this,
happening.
and then Who Made Who, which was a soundtrack / greatest hits.
And the video for Who Made Who with all those Anguses.
Yeah.
And I guess people camped out to do that. I'm just saying, like, screw it. They were huge through all this. They were huge, so.
Speaking of that,
Yeah.
when Who Made Who came out, they made a new video for You Shook Me All Night Long. All over MTV. Like,
Yeah.
this was like Buzzbin, whatever they called it back
Yeah.
then, huge rotation constantly. And I remember that video. I remember that scene where Brian walks in. I think he's got some booze or something, and he looks at the woman, and he kind of looks at the screen, and the booze falls down or whatever.
Yeah.
But Brian was a character. His personality was really starting to come out. But anyway, they were huge at the time, and this was I've told this story before. This is the first tour I seen him on. Actually, only tour I've seen him on in 1986. Queensryche opening up, Tacoma Dome, 3 miles from here. But so this is a special era for me. I did own this on vinyl. I bought it right when I got my first job. I went out and bought this on vinyl. It was probably just a new album at the time, and
I wish I had that on vinyl. You know, like, okay, Fly on the Wall, Shake, First Blood even, Sink the Pink, Playing with Girls. Those songs right there, to me, that's a good collection of songs right there. You know, not the hugest fan. I think you said you aren't also of Danger. Stand Up and Danger, they're just too plodding and
pedestrian.
They just don't
Paint
have
by
this.
Numbers rock.
Well, they don't have the spark really. You know, it's a little Danger's got a weird mood and it's kind of slow, and they pushed it as a single, and they even tried to do it on tour.
Okay,
and,
that right there, huge mistake putting that out as a first single.
Yeah.
Now I know it wasn't their choice. I'm sure it was probably Atlantic's, but God, you want to come out with a song that's like, if I would have heard Shake Your Foundations like on the radio a month before the album came out, I'm buying that the day it comes out. You know, I want to hear the rest of that album. Danger, not so much.
It's hard because Danger they're probably thinking Danger is a little bit more consumer friendly though, you know.
Yeah,
with it's like it's major, and there's a lot of major on this album. You know, when the band's really trying to pump out a bunch of hits, you got a bunch of major key crap the whole time. You know, a little bit of major is cool, but I mean, for a band like this, you know,
Just come out and rock like you always have.
yeah,
You know what
but
I mean?
they did that on Flick. You know,
Yeah.
there's very little major, I think, on Flick, and we all love it, but I feel like it's almost an even darker horse than this. In retrospect, everyone likes Flick, but at the time, I wonder if Fly on the Wall sold a little more than Flick. Had the video EP, they're visible on MTV.
I know they've both went platinum, but it took a while.
Yeah.
So I would say it probably went platinum before Flick. It took Flick a while, actually. Which is weird, because think of how huge they were. They were still selling out arenas and stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
And this whole wave of success, even though these two albums were not high points, you know, with sales, still all these other things were happening, like Jailbreak EP, and of course their tours and all this stuff, and the movie soundtrack took them through until they got into Razor's Edge, and then they started to then they got a huge hit with that, and then
What was the big hit?
yeah,
What's that called? Oh, Thunderstruck.
yeah. So then they get Thunderstruck, and also at that point they're just historical at that point, you know.
Yeah.
So their tours are always just going to be huge, and I feel like at that point it crossed over. They had a hit going on, and they're historical, so it was just huge. And everybody always loved their live concerts anyway.
Oh,
so.
yeah. Yep, never heard anybody say they had a bad experience at an AC/DC show.
Yeah.
Never.
So you know what? I'm going to say one more thing about this. The same guy who recorded this, who worked on For Those About to Rock and Highway to Hell, Mark Durnley, he also recorded the new songs, and that would explain why they sound so similar to Fly on the Wall. And when I realized that the songs were remixed for Who Made Who, I kind of thought, ooh, I bet what Mark thought about that, but it was him. He did it. They went in and kind of dried it up a little bit and brought the vocals up and stuff. On Shake Your Foundations, the drum sound, the tom is gone at the start, all that reverb on it is gone, and the drums overall are kind of like in a tight, bright little sounding room. Or, you know, how they control the overhead mics or
we
change
should mention
the
Simon Wright is the drummer. It's his first album with him.
yeah.
Okay. No more Phil Rudd. None.
So he went and tried out for him right before Flick was going to come out. And we didn't mention this in the last episode, but he literally did not know what band he showed up to audition for. I guess he knew he was going to play rock and roll. Maybe it was Whole Lotta Rosie. It was an AC/DC song and one other song. He was going to play these 3 songs. But he didn't know if he was showing up for... He didn't know until he walked in and saw AC/DC Road Cases and was like, oh,
Right.
I mean, he actually didn't know. That's
Well,
crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Keeping it a secret even from
Yeah.
him. Okay, so we pretty much have told you what we think of the album. Let's go to some reviews.
Let's see what Rolling Stone thinks,
Everyone's
right?
favorite
Is it Rolling Stone?
publication, Rolling Stone. Now, this isn't the whole review. It's just a quote from it.
Yeah.
Okay, by a guy named Tim Holmes. You'd never guess how sexist and politically incorrect all this is if you didn't read the lyric sheet, because you sure can't make out a single word coming out of the dentist drill's glottis, or glottis? What is that word? Of Brian Johnson, except maybe the song titles, which tend to be repeated like mantras. Angus Young is also in great form, playing the dumbest, most irresistible repetitive chords in the lexicon. So,
Was Chuck Berry
he's not
also
a
playing
fan.
the dumbest chords in the lexicon?
yeah,
I mean, critics. I don't know.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, we're critics too. What do you
Yeah.
think?
According to Steve Huey, of AllMusic, Fly on the Wall continues AC/DC's descent into cookie-cutter mediocrity, with the leering humor of past glories seeming forced and uninspired, and the music remaining somewhat underdeveloped and directionless. Not good reviews. Not good reviews. I don't know. Were they ever a band that really...
I don't know. Did they ever really get
that's what I was
good
about to
reviews?
say.
We didn't really look up any Back in Black reviews. I think we just probably both figured it was unanimous. But it'd be interesting to hear Rolling Stone's review of, this made seven albums like this in a row, or some dumb shit probably. I mean, and then the reviews for those about to rock didn't seem very favorable. Definitely nobody liked Flick. Like, fuck them. Like, what are these? What are these people just don't get AC/DC,
We're just pointing out how silly these people are. Really.
But like, you can't understand. Oh no, you can't understand Brian's words. Oh God, maybe you should listen to Cyndi Lauper. Like, I mean, you can tell these people are coming from like pop music or something. Like, they want AC/DC to be perfect and clear, and like what? I don't want to hear what he's saying. I want to hear, I want to hear just fucking, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like if a metal guy had written that, he'd be like, thank God I can't hear the dumb lyrics, but I can hear an awesome scream. I mean, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that was written by some guy who was a Megadeth fan or something like that, it'd probably be like, why would they attack Brian's vocals like that? The thing I liked about this album the most over the years is that Brian's vocals are raucous.
Oh,
I
he's a
love him.
wild man on this album.
I love
will
him
say
on
that.
here.
I will
People
say
talk
that.
shit about not being able to hear his words, and I'm kind of like, can't hear his words. I don't know. Words are secondary to me. The music is first. The vibe, the performance, the feeling. Words. I like words. I write words myself, but I can't even remember my own lyrics, so that's how bad I am. But lyrics are last on the list for me personally.
So we're not going to go track by track because, frankly,
We already did, sort of.
Yeah, some songs, I wouldn't have anything really to say about.
Playing with Girls is pretty heavy.
Playing with Girls is a standout track. That riff, man, it's
If
so
there was
relentless.
If there was more of that on here, I heard somebody compare it to Aerosmith, which I
Oh,
get.
yeah.
It's almost like
Totally.
Sweet Emotion or something a
Yeah,
little bit,
totally.
rhythmically.
the really good riff in in Sweet Emotion. Shaker Foundations is great. Sink the Pink is great. Those were good singles. The second and third single. The song "Fly on the Wall" is good.
It's good.
It's not great, I wouldn't say. It's good.
I dig it.
First Blood just kind of grew on me because I've listened to this 4 or 5 times in prepping for this show. First Blood grew on me. It's decent.
It's good in there. Yeah.
After that, Send for the Man has a good riff. There's
Send
good
for the
riffs
Man.
here and there in some
Yeah.
of these songs, but after that,
Send for the Man, maybe not my favorite, and Stand Up and Danger, they're probably my least favorite. Those two.
Easily.
I don't, like I said, I don't really think they're horrible, but I wish they could have inserted some other tunes in there. These tunes that they put on here, those new tunes, and who made who,
Yeah, they're both instrumentals, right? I know DT definitely is. Yeah, they're both instrumentals. Keep in mind, this is a movie soundtrack to a Stephen King flick.
So I saw some stuff where Stephen King's a fan.
Oh, yeah, no, he is.
He was like picking songs.
Oh, yeah.
Like
he's a fan.
Yeah, and chatting with him and stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so, I guess it was like in vogue to do, for a hard rock metal band, to do a movie soundtrack. horror movie or some kind of thriller soundtrack. Alice Cooper did Friday the 13th Part 6. Dokken did with Dream Warriors. AC/DC did. I'm sure there's a few more. Wasp, Scream Until You Like It. So, yeah. You know, because those two genres
see
kind
them?
of, they go good together, really.
Yeah.
You know, who didn't like those kind of movies
Dream Warriors.
in the 80s, man?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so what else to say? Anything else? Any comments about these songs?
For me, I would say in a way this album and Flick are kind of a pair, but even more so maybe this album and Who Made Who were a pair because it's the same guy, it's the same type of drum sound. They both have Simon on it. And, you know, I think Simon did probably change the vibe of things, you know. Who knows what Phil used to say? Maybe they used to throw a riff out. Maybe Phil said, hey, that sucks. I mean, who knows? I don't know. Like, you know, the balance of things changed. So the producer changed at this point. They were still producing. The drummer changed. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting, weird time.
The musical landscape was changing because of MTV, you know.
Yeah, a lot of people, reviewers will say heavy metal and thrash were coming up, and where did AC/DC fit? I mean, there was still other rock bands, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Didn't seem to me like they were trying to necessarily fit into glam, or they weren't trying to become thrash. I mean, you know.
And you still had Crocus trying to sound like them. So
Yeah.
early Crocus,
Yeah.
which is still good. Not ranking on them.
Yeah.
AC/DC, Fly on the Wall. You be the judge. You let us know what you think, because it's kind of it's polarizing, isn't it? I mean, I don't know anybody that's my favorite AC/DC album. I'm sure there's some weirdos out there that think that, but
Yeah. It's imperfect, but like for me,
very imperfect.
as far as the whole album, it's the last one. And this one's great, but I really only get to listen to 3 songs that are new. And the remixes of those 2 are cool. So there's 5 songs in here that I really would play when I reach for this album, you know. So the older stuff I obviously hear on the earlier albums, but this was like 5 times platinum, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And Maximum Overdrive, that movie's
Because
not.
AC/DC,
That movie ain't very good. I mean, it's fun to watch because it's so bad, kind of.
yeah.
But it's not great. But then the AC/DC album soundtrack went through the
Well,
roof.
you know, to this day, I think this might be their only kind of greatest hits, official greatest hits. Can you think of an AC/DC greatest hits? I can't think of any.
I don't think, did they ever do a best ever greatest hits? And then they got the Iron Man 1 and 2, but that's just like a collection of stuff that was chosen for the movies, right?
They kind of come from, it's an old school way of looking at it, like, no greatest hits, you have to buy all our albums.
Once you put it, they probably, you know, they kept it real in lots of ways. And they probably thought, this is probably what they thought. Once you put out a greatest hits, it's over. You know what I mean? Look at America. That greatest hits of America, that's a badass album from start to end. And they were working with George Martin on the album before it. So they put out this greatest hits, and they had George Martin remix all the songs that were going to go on that. So that's why those versions are the best versions. So like Tin Man and all that. But you know, they did Magic a few years later. You can do magic. That's it. They had a couple great songs, but everybody just, that greatest hits came out in '74. But it just seems like, well, the band was pretty much done. When you put out a greatest hits, it seems like
We should do an episode on the greatest hits albums.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
3 Dog Night.
Because a lot of greatest hits albums, like you just mentioned, or like, say, Double Platinum, they're different than what you would expect. It's not just literally, here's the songs from the albums, these were our biggest hits, here you go. You know, there's plenty of those kind of albums which are great. That one first Chicago greatest hits is like that. That's great. Yeah. But just a thought. Maybe a greatest hits episode at some point.
Yeah.
So, that's about it. All we have to say about these 2 albums. You know, great memories here. You know I gave this album a bad time. Okay, I did. I was kind of rough with this.
I mean,
and it deserved every bit of it.
yeah, it's not perfect.
No, I have good memories with it, though. I'll say that. But you know what? This came out when I was 14. Here I am 40 years later. And my musical taste has changed a bit.
And you still dislike it.
It's changed. No, I liked it at the time. That's the thing. But, you know, especially now, we just went through the previous 5 albums.
Mm-hmm.
How good are those albums? Come on. Those are, that might be one of the best 5 albums in a row from any hard rock band ever.
When you're a young teenager, you put your Motley Crue album on or whatever, and you're just waiting for that chorus hook, and you're happy. You know, home sweet home or whatever. You know, you're just happy that there's a catchy hook, and you know, you don't know.
And on this, I can't understand a fucking word he's singing. So.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me at all. I love it that he was screaming his head off. I love it. I love that about Brian.
Yeah, no, Brian, he's balls out on this album.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so once again, forgot to mention how.
Was
did
there
you want
anything?
to read something
Was there
there?
anything good in here? This is the hit parader that came out when the album came out. Pretty cool. Pretty cool cover.
We were looking through this, and something that did catch my eye. And
Sorry, I just lost his face, but we'll. Oh, by the way, I had that on my wall. I don't know why, but I definitely had that on my wall. I have a picture of me still with that back there on my wall. And let's see what else I could have put up.
Ooh, that's.
I had that little clipping on my wall. See, I could have put up Pretty Paul.
Pretty Paul.
I didn't want to put up Pretty Paul. That's like kind of hard to say. Oh, and this is just a
Hearing
aid thing with little pictures. So it's no wonder I put Vince up, looking like my girlfriend.
Yeah. All right, so let me find my spot. Okay, it's right here. Okay, so the hit parader asked Angus, "Are you hoping that Fly on the Wall does better in sales than your last LP, Flick of the Switch?" And Angus says, "People never believe me when I say that we don't care about how many albums we sell. They say, how can you not care? The truth is that my goal was always to sell enough records to make sure our record company wanted us to record another one. After that, sales are totally irrelevant." Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm sure he liked all that money from the $6 million that Back in Black sold right away. Now it's like
bought him multiple
50 million.
beach houses around the world. So let me ask this, because this is kind of an interesting thing. You know, this is a band that started in 73 or whatever, and they had this huge run. So bands like from that era, like Deep Purple had the big comeback album in '84, but they couldn't really keep it up. I mean, think about like the big bands: AC/DC, Kiss, Black Sabbath, right? Heap, Aerosmith. How many of those bands actually were able to successfully make it through the '80s and be like on top? Like none of them.
No,
really.
none of them were on top.
Like Aerosmith
by the end of the decade were super popular.
They became
again.
something else, though.
But they sold out.
Yeah, they became something else. But is there any other band? I mean, Zeppelin was gone. Page did The Firm, and Firm had some good stuff. But, I mean, Ozzy did pretty well.
Yeah, actually.
But it wasn't Black Sabbath. It was
Yeah,
Ozzy. Heart did well, too. But like Aerosmith, they totally changed. It's a whole different band.
Ron Nevison.
Literally different people, of course, and a different approach. I don't know. So it's kind of amazing they did as good as long as they did, I guess.
Yep, and now they're playing stadiums with 2 original members.
Yeah.
So
they made it through all this.
No, excuse me. 1 original member. Brian's not an original member.
Well, Brian's.
Oh, you know what I mean.
Semi-original.
I'm being technical.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for tuning in. And I was going to mention that our channel here has surpassed 200,000 views in the last couple days. And
whoa.
Yeah, 200,000. Okay? So, thank you, all 200,000 of you.
Yeah.
Or the people that watch it on repeat all the
Brandon,
time.
our friend Brandon watched. He didn't make it through that episode 3 minutes at a time and go back and give it all.
Yeah, but anyway, that's a cool achievement, and we're looking forward to celebrating more with you. So, thank you for tuning in. If you watched this far, you got to the end. Congrats.
Yeah.
Or any way you slice it, let's do it. Let's give
Ready?
them the slice.